The COMEX and the LBMA need to shut down. Those are derivative markets that are setting this low price of silver.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, we're going to buy it $800 silver, $900 silver. And we're going to be begging people to give up their silver when it goes to unobtainium, which means you can't buy it at any price.
Hey, friends, welcome back. Thanks for being here. That was Bix Weir, and silver closed today above $93 an ounce, despite the paper raid last night, which brought it down to below 86 for a brief period of time. And guess what? In Shanghai, it's trading north of $100 an ounce, and I expect some fireworks tonight when the Asian market returns. You're not going to want to miss this one with Bix Weir. Friends, before we start, just a quick word about a very prescient and wise sponsor, Noble Gold. If you're over 40 and planning to retire someday, the window to protect what you've built may be smaller than you realize. Here's a question most people never ask. Is your portfolio built for what's coming next? The debasement of our currency? Many investors in their 40s and 50s discover they have little to no exposure to precious metals. That means their savings are largely tied to markets, policies, and paper assets, with very little real protection if conditions change. As retirement moves from someday to on the horizon for you, protecting what you've already built becomes just as important as growing it. That's where Noble Gold Investments comes in, helping investors reduce risk by adding physical gold and/or silver to their portfolios. Right now is a smart time to talk with Noble Gold Investments. This isn't investment advice. Do your own due diligence. But we can promise you this: no pressure, no sales gimmicks, just clear answers and a strategy built around your goals. And for a limited time, you can receive this 3-ounce American Virtues Independence Silver Round as a bonus available for new qualified accounts. Visit noblegoldinvestments.com and build your portfolio for the long term. That's noblegoldinvestments.com. The link is below. Hey friends, welcome back. Thanks so much for being here. Sean from SGT Report with a very important update. This one dated January 15th, 2026. We're going to start with this, a curious development regarding the Charlie's exploding microphone killed him thesis. Now, according to Project Constitution and the interview you're seeing here, proof Dan Flood was injured by shrapnel from the same exploding mic blast that killed Charlie Kirk. An unearthed clip drops hard evidence. Close-up of Dan Flood's left forearm shows bruise and tiny black shards embedded in his forearm. Shrapnel from the mic explosion, not a gunshot.
There's Dan Flood's arm. All right, look at it right here. Let me zoom in. All right, look at this. See his arm right here? You see this, the scrape? You see the piece of plastic lodged in there? There's a piece of, and then look at the watch. Look at that. You see his watch is completely destroyed.
Holy shit, you're right.
Again, we'll continue to follow this story closely because, as I've been saying, friends, the two biggest stories of the year are who assassinated Charlie Kirk and the silver story. By the way, what the heck is going on at Mar-a-Lago? Trump's Mar-a-Lago hosted the Israeli government-backed Jerusalem prayer breakfast yesterday, with the crowd cheering for war with Iran, and once again marked Mar-a-Lago, and by extension the White House, as conquered territory. This from Frankie Stokes. It is very peculiar what's going on in the world right now. Extremely peculiar, folks. Bix Weir is going to hop on this call. I'm very, very glad to have him. Bix, can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
Yeah. Hey, Bix, can you hear me?
I can. How are you?
I'm good, brother. How are you?
I'm good. Really good. I mean, I'm very much in demand these days after 25 years.
Yeah, imagine that. You know, every dog has his day, right, Bix? Well, you know, what I wanted to ask you here, I've already started to record the call, and I've just sort of noted for the audience, I guess I might call this one silver fireworks, but at the same time, it's just sort of like global fireworks. I mean, we've got a world that's seemingly gone mad. All right, we're going to just march into Venezuela and snatch Maduro. Now we might snatch Greenland. And, you know, meanwhile, more war with Iran could break out at any moment, maybe at the bequest of Israel. It just seems like the world has lost its mind, Bix. Do you feel that way?
No, I feel like the world is in a transition from the old, you're being taken care of, don't worry, you know, we control you, but it's safe, to a world where it's like we're breaking away from our controllers, and there is no safety in that kind of world. So yeah, Yes and no is my answer. It's a long time coming. And unfortunately, we don't know all the facts behind what Trump is doing with the good guys. On the surface, it looks very unconstitutional and things like that. But behind the scenes, there are, from what I've seen, there's many reasons to do all the things he's doing.
You know, Bix, if I were to give him the benefit of the doubt, I could make the argument that the world has become so polarized, and now we have this monetary warfare that's taking place as the metal, precious metal, moves from west to east. I could take the position and give Trump the benefit of the doubt and say, this is all the nation can do to defend itself, is to kick China out of Venezuela, is to secure Greenland. It's almost as though we're in a World War III type of situation where the gloves have come off. And I guess the only way to defend the United States of America is to play this kind of hardball. But again, that's me giving Trump the benefit of the doubt because there is a very, very large Israeli presence in the White House. And it just kind of makes me wonder, whose bidding are we doing?
Yeah, I mean, it goes right to Treasury Secretary Bissett. He was George Soros's right-hand man. So you got to scratch your head a lot when it comes to Trump and the good guys, and trust that something behind the scenes is different from what we see in public. And I do think that, and we've seen the results of that over time. But it's difficult not being in the know.
Well, that's right. We're left to surmise. We're left to guess, really, what's going on. Meanwhile, Trump invokes Section 232 to seek foreign supplies of processed critical minerals, avoids tariffs for now. Now, Zero Hedge notes, following news that the U.S. held off from imposing import tariffs on critical minerals, silver and other metals retreated from record highs as investors took profits following a blistering rally in the space. Now, I find that kind of humorous. Let me just explain for folks what happened last night. In the wee hours of the morning, in fact, this started around, I would say 11 o'clock or midnight. I was up last night as this happened, Bix. Silver crashed from about 93 to 86 as I was still awake. I threw in the towel and said, well, you know what? I'll be the bag holder on this one. I don't care because the government's not going to stop printing money. So I'll be the bag holder. I went to bed. Guess where silver is today? At least when we started recording this call, $91.83. So it kind of took a round trip, and we're going to let Asian Guy explain to the folks what he thinks happened. Then we're going to get Bix's take.
Starting around midnight Eastern time, the sell orders started hitting. Massive sell orders. Not retail size, not individual trader size, institutional size. Hundreds of contracts at once. Thousands of ounces dumped onto the market in coordinated waves. The price started dropping. $93 became $92, then $91, then $90. And here's where the nightmare began for retail traders. As the price dropped through $90, stop-loss orders started triggering. Every retail trader who had bought silver at $85 or $87 or $89 and placed their stop-loss at $90 just to be safe, those stops got hit. Their positions got liquidated automatically. They got forced out of winning trades. But the selling didn't stop at $90, it accelerated, because now the institutions could see where all the stop losses were clustered.
I'll pause it there. Bix, Asian Guy claims that it bottomed out at 83 and change last night. I don't know what you saw in your terminal, but I went to bed when it was at 86, and I'm like, guess what? I don't care. I've got the physical. I got the physical, and I know none of my friends, neighbors, colleagues, family, nobody else has any physical. I'm telling you, Bix, nobody's got anything. Everybody's really unprepared. But you even have people like Robert Kiyosaki sort of calling a near-term top here, waiting for a big correction. Boy, I don't know, man. What do you think?
I think they're looking at the wrong information. We're at a position where, I mean, I've been in this 25 years watching the same shit go down on the COMEX when they throw, what was it, yesterday's trading was 750 million ounces on the COMEX. This is just the same horn tuning over and over and over again, which tells me that they don't have any other way but to throw naked derivatives at the price of silver at any moment in time. What is very different is the amount of time that it lasts, the amount of time that it stays down and under control. That's the key. What we have to look at is, we know the price has been controlled for 180 years using various methods. Starting in the 70s, it was computers and derivatives. So we know that. And that's okay. So we don't have fair market value, but what is fair market value? How can we find the fair market value of silver with basically 3 exchanges on the planet? 2 of them are strictly derivative exchanges trading billions of ounces. like 300 billion a year on the COMEX. That is not free market pricing. So when you look at it, Shanghai, I would say, is the closest thing to real pricing for silver. And it's, there's a $10 premium. It was up at 102 bucks yesterday. And the reality is that China, India, Russia, the rest of the world knows where the United States' weakness is. And it's in their control over the derivative markets that control every single asset that it gets exchanged on the planet, including the big ones, oil and fiat money, the US dollar. They can throw as many derivative contracts as they want at oil or the US dollar contract and make it go anywhere they want at any time. But the key is these big players know exactly what the USA does and how they control and rig the prices. So, yeah, that cat is out of the bag. Every time it gets slammed now, people buy physical and take it. We just had, starting tomorrow, this is my estimate for today, starting tomorrow, we'll have the largest non-delivery month in silver COMEX contracts in history. It'll be over 40 million ounces on a non-delivery month. That's unheard of. And that will hit probably tomorrow if there's 200 contracts called for delivery. This is not normal. Last year was the largest delivery year on the COMEX. Now, I have held for a very long time that we're being lied to about the amount of silver being used for industrial applications. We're being lied to by the Silver Institute, we're being lied to by CPM Group, and we're being lied to by Metals Focus, which are the only three that really report on this stuff. I've proven it time and time again. They change historical numbers. But you look at like solar panels over the last 10 years has gone up 850%, the amount of solar installations with the amount of silver being used in each panel increasing over that time. And yet the silver consumption during that time only went up 250%. And this is massive. This is billions of ounces that they're not counting. And that's all coming home to roost right now with the physical silver shortage.
You know what that makes me think of when we talk about just the upside down world in which we live? The Silver Institute and CPM Group kind of reminds me of Big Pharma. Okay? Once people figure out that Big Pharma is really not about your health at all and asking your doctor if Humira is right for you, fewer people decide to do that, and fewer moms are deciding to vaccinate because sort of the genie's out of the bottle there. Well, I think this is sort of the same type of thing. The magic that they work, though, is not pharmakia. Their magic is paper magic. The lies on paper. It's like these spreadsheets, and it's almost like they're jumping through hoops to sell the impossible to the plebs so people don't chase silver. But the genie's out of the bottle, man. People know, and not just people, the Chinese know. And the Chinese government is encouraging their citizens, get this, guys, to buy physical silver, Bix.
Yeah, and they also have now put a ban on exports other than what they approve, which started on January 1st. And Trump just announced that he's going out and he's going to start buying critical minerals. There is no more critical mineral than silver. It's been left off every list in history. I mean, I read, remember back in the late 90s, early 2000s, reading a book called Hot Commodities by Jim, I forgot his last name, classic historical investor. And he talked about every commodity except silver on this thing. He talked about every commodity except silver. And I was like, how could you leave silver out of a huge book where silver is the number one commodity as far as supply and demand, as far as usefulness, as far as necessity? And it just dawned on me that the reality of the silver conspiracy to hide the importance of silver is just shocking. It really is shocking. And yeah, Jim Rogers, great guy, great guy. And he broke off from the Soros group after him and Soros had the Millennium Fund and took down the English pound and all that. But he literally is in the camp of alternative investments. He's traveled the world. He basically came to Jesus and said, "Oh my God, what have I done? I just cared about money. Let me see what else I can do." He traveled the world. Great guy. And you'll see interviews with him, but he knows exactly what went on because he was in the belly of the beast. And now we sit here looking at commodities, and I wonder how come Jim Rogers didn't know anything about silver when this book first came out, which was a long time ago. But Buffett had already bought all his silver and then had it taken away from him. I mean, how could he not know unless there is a conspiracy on the media side as well, which there is. And yeah, everything's falling apart now, which is great. But all you have to do, you have one job as the silver investor, get physical silver in your own possession and see if you can hang on to it.
So interesting that you brought up Jim Rogers. I mentioned Jim from time to time as being so prescient. He decided to move his family to the east in, I think, about 2006. He made that announcement. And he said moving to the east now in 2006, in his view, is roughly akin to moving to New York City in 1900. It's the place you want to be. It's the future. It's safer. The population is better educated. He wanted his two daughters to learn Mandarin. I think that was, in hindsight, a very prescient move because I got to tell you, man, it feels like our nation is kind of in the throes of receivership. I mean, the looting's on. You can see what's going on in Minnesota and the blue states, California, where Bix hails from. The looting is on, and the corruption is absolutely out of control in this country. I mean, and until Trump starts making high-level domestic arrests of people like Fauci, for starters, I think there might continue to be a chasm in the mega space because where are these high level arrests? I got off on a rant there. I didn't even mean to bring that up, but I do want your comment on the looting that appears to be taking place in our own country, Biggs.
Oh yeah, I mean, Elon found 14 computers that print money out of thin air. You don't think a lot of that went to those Somali refugees and Congress people who are all of a sudden Elon Omar is now rich? How the hell did that happen?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you look at the Road to Ruta documents. What did Ruta write in the sand when she was trying to figure out how to allocate the gold to the people? She wrote a formula called On the Road to the Golden Age, which is print money to infinity and destroy the system before you go back onto a gold standard. And what's more printing money to infinity than having 14 computers printing money with no backing at all, just paying bills think in the trillions of dollars worth of bills without any congressional approval, without any bank behind it. It's one side of the ledger is empty, and the other side is just printing these, paying all this stuff because it comes from the U.S. government. You think, oh, this check is good. Any bank will cash it, and voila, money printed out of thin air and given to people, the friends and family of who's ever in charge, which was Obama for years and Biden for years and the Trump family for years. I don't think Trump's family did that. They didn't really need to, but the left sure did. And how long did they know Trump was getting in? And how much did they print between the time Trump won the election until he took office? How many trillions can you print from a computer that gives you as much as you want?
Yeah. Well, it's interesting, Bix. I saw a tweet. I'll try to dig it up. If I can find it, I'll splice it in right here. But I saw a tweet from Donald Trump yesterday or the day before, might have been the day before, which I thought was really kind of a horrifying tweet. A lot of people think a lot of his tweets are horrifying, but he does appear to be candid quite often, which I appreciate. But he said, if the U.S. Supreme Court rules that tariffs are unconstitutional, we're screwed. Now, I thought that was a very telling tweet given the monetary warfare that we now face. Again, I've said that what appears to be going on with China is sort of the reverse of the opium wars. When the British went in and stole all of the silver from China by introducing opium, I'm not exactly sure how they pulled that all off. This feels like the reverse of that. Now they're taking all the physical silver off the LBMA, the COMEX. They're not going to export any more physical silver or probably any more of the rare earth minerals from China. So this is truly monetary warfare. And for Trump to literally say, when we're $38.7 trillion in debt now, Bix, if the U.S. Supreme Court shoots down tariffs as being unconstitutional, we are screwed. I don't know. That doesn't sound good, Bix.
Well, it sounds like he's trying to destroy the system, which he is. I mean, that's the only way out of this mess is to destroy the system and start over. We've been talking about this forever. It's kind of what is in the Road to Ruta documents. And then it gets to how do you reallocate money and all that. But yeah, there's no doubt in my mind that Trump, I think he wants to do it way before July 4th, his big party planned for the 250-year anniversary for the United States. And I think a big sign, and I know and you know how to do it, you rise silver to crash a couple banks that are heavily derivative held down, like JP Morgan, and voila, you have the contagion of a too big to fail bank failing, and it destroys every single financial asset on the planet. All the exchanges will shut down. You'll have no money in your bank account, your checking account, your savings account. We've talked about this for a very long time because it's the only way out of this crazy fiat system that we're in. And now we know now that just how much it's been abused. It's time. And I think a huge signal was on New Year's Eve when Mrs. Trump came out and wore a silver full-length gown, smiling. I haven't seen her smile in, I don't know how long. She usually doesn't smile in public. She had a beautiful smile, just coming out in that silver dress, saying, "This is the new beginning." It was really, really cool. I don't know if you've seen that, but if you find that picture, the Melania's silver dress, holy crap! It's gonna blow your mind. And that was just on January 1st. And then silver runs like crazy from at the beginning of the year on. So that was a sign of, if there are any signs, that was a huge sign.
That is interesting. And yes, of course, I saw the dress. She looks lovely in anything, but she's a supermodel. And of course,
Well,
she
sure.
would look bulletproof in a silver dress. But here's the question. Why is this war that's currently happening in the silver market? Explain to me and the audience why that's a good thing.
Well, it's a good thing because it will free us from the entity, the bad guys, the fractional reserve system that we're in.
Yeah.
Silver is the destroyer of banks, and Trump knows that more than anybody else. For the United States, why is it a good thing? Because we're the largest debtor nation in the world by far. If we destroy the monetary system, we win. We don't have to pay those debts back. We also have massive amounts of gold that we haven't been talking about. So we have the ability to go back onto a gold and silver standard upon the destruction of the old system. Remember, the bad guys have controlled us through this old system, through the unbacked fiat monetary system. That's how they got their control. So the only way to fix the system and get the bad guys out is to destroy the system. The only thing that can destroy the system is a meltdown in the $3 quadrillion derivative market. And the best way to do that is to raise the price of silver, such as those that have shorts get destroyed. And I mean, it sounds too simple to be true, but literally that's how it's going to go down.
And what'd you make of the Trump threat of a criminal indictment for Fed Chair Powell?
Well, to open a case means you're going to open the guts of the Fed. So I don't think it's about the remodel of the Fed. I think it is much larger about the crimes that the Fed has committed behind Trump's back to keep the system going. And there's no doubt that there were plans that the Fed was going to do things when Trump got in, that Trump, to destroy the Trump administration. Trump has had to rig the markets just to keep this thing going. And if I have any really complaints about Trump, it's that he's continued and expanded the market rigging. But I understand why he had to do that. Now, when J.P. Morgan Chase comes forward as the big partner of Epstein, that's going to destroy all fiat money. That's the largest bank in the world. J.P. Morgan Chase was a partner of Epstein's. 20 people within the senior management of J.P. Morgan were part of that. And again, J.P. Morgan Chase is the largest derivative holder with 61 trillion and only 4 trillion in assets. So it's all playing out. The question is, when are they going to pull the plug? And do you have silver in your own possession?
Sorry for the quick break. Have you guys stumbled upon this Chuck Norris video yet? The dude's in his 80s, and he says he still feels like he's in his 50s. He had some pretty cool tips in there, too, about what he's doing, including these 3 foods that he avoids like the plague. And he explains all the things he's doing, and it was super simple. And by the way, his wife is doing these same things, too, and she says it's changed her life. So I wanted to share the info with you. It's absolutely free, since what's happened to Chuck and me could also happen to you too. But of course, with any new method, your results can vary. But the video is definitely worth checking out, and I've got a special link just for you. You can watch the entire video right now at chuckdefense.com/SGT. That's chuckdefense.com/SGT. I've linked it below this video, and you're going to want to check it out right now. chuckdefense.com/SGT. The link is below.
So it's all playing out. The question is, when are they going to pull the plug? And do you have silver in your own possession?
Yeah, and most people absolutely do not. By the way, guys, I'm embarrassed to even tell you that I bought the very top in silver. I've continued to buy throughout this whole thing, and I did. I locked in more silver from SD Bullion the night before last at like 101. And I know that's crazy. I kind of promised myself, Bix, I would stop buying once it hit 100. I couldn't bring
Good luck
myself.
with that.
Yeah, I couldn't bring myself to do so. And by the way, free shipping on orders over $499. That's a really good deal. Free shipping. You know how much it costs to insure this stuff? It used to be free shipping on orders over $199, but this price has moved so quickly that suddenly that would put them in the position of paying free shipping on 3 ounces of silver. They've raised it to $499. But yeah, I bought the top. I literally bought the top. And last night when I saw it plummet to like 86, I was very candid at the beginning of the call here with you. I said, fine, I'll be the bag holder. I don't care. That's sort
You're
of my
not the
attitude
bag
on
holder.
this. It's my
Well,
attitude because I know the real story here. Physical silver is rare and precious. And this isn't just a retail trade. It's not a bubble because retail traders are in. I'm not even sure how much retail money is chasing this thing yet, Biggs.
the retail side is probably 2 or 3% of the silver market. Everything is the 1,000 ounce COMEX bars and LBMA bars. That's what they take into China. That's what they melt down for industrial. They're skipping that now. They don't want the system to fade away until they get their silver locked in. So they're going right to the mines. We have lots of stories about big corporations going right to the mines and securing the next 5 years of silver production, paying $10 over spot or 10% over spot. That is a situation where the COMEX is being left out. That means that the biggest problem is the COMEX and the LBMA are derivative markets. And when they have no legitimacy and they're no longer looked upon for the price of silver, that's when we win. And I think that's coming very fast. But as far as buying silver at the top, about 3 or 4 days ago, I bought, I think it was it was 99 ounces of uncirculated U.S. Silver Eagles, 2025 U.S. Silver Eagles at $91 a piece when the price of silver was $89.
Wow, that's a good deal.
And you might say, who the hell would do that? Guess where I bought them from?
Where?
The U.S. Mint.
Oh,
The
good
U.S.
call.
Mint had put their commemorative coins and numismatic coins, they have always priced them like triple the price of silver, right? They forgot to change their price. They put that $91 price on when the price of silver was $30, not ever thinking they'd ever have to look at it. And I was telling my guys, come on, go out and buy a bunch of these uncirculated. They only let you buy 99 uncirculated 1 ounce silver eagles. That was probably my best buy ever. But no, you're gonna buy it $500 silver, Sean. You're gonna buy it $900 silver. You're gonna buy it $2,000 silver. The thing is, price is so dislocated because of 180 years of price suppression. You're gonna keep buying, and everybody's gonna keep buying. I said I wouldn't buy, and then I started thinking about it. I'm like, of course I'm gonna keep buying.
Yeah.
I'm going to keep buying until we hit fair market value. And fair market value won't be hit until we have one, a equilibrium between the supply and demand, which is not even close right now. And two, the COMEX and the LBMA need to shut down. Those are derivative markets that are setting this low price of silver.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we're going to buy it $800 silver, $900 silver. And we're going to be begging people to give up their silver when it goes to unobtainium, which means you can't buy it at any price.
Unobtainium. Is that a Cliff High? Did you coin that or Cliff High? Or
Great
no,
term.
or was it Mike Maloney? Might have been Mike Maloney.
I first heard it from Cliff, but it could have been Mike Maloney.
Unobtainium. Well, we'll read a little bit from David Jensen, and then I want to ask you about the societal impact of what we're going through. Shanghai silver price unchanged as price drops on depleted Western exchanges. January 15th, David Jensen. The Shanghai price of physical silver continues today at $101 an ounce, a decline of 32 cents from yesterday. Now, that is very, very interesting. As I look at my terminal, we're at about $91 an ounce silver. Bix might be able to check that for me while I read this. Meanwhile, the cash price of silver in New York and London has dropped from 93 yesterday to 88 as of this writing. Last night when I went to bed, 86. As the price differential widens due to artificial digital price action in New York and London, already strapped Western markets will be depleted of more physical silver. The spice will flow. Did he mean to write that? The spice will
I
flow.
guess.
That's funny. The spice will flow, and Bank of England Deputy Governor David Ramsden will find the bars are getting heavier and heavier to move. What does that mean? That means they don't have any?
You got me. I don't know.
Wow, he's an interesting guy. I like David. But yeah, it's interesting. $101 an ounce in Shanghai.
Yeah. Right now, we've fully recovered from the latest slam. It's at $91.53 right now.
Yeah, well, there you go. Well, I want to talk about the societal impact of what we're going through because you've said some interesting things here that I think give people hope. It's this idea that ultimately we win and Trump's taking on these criminal banks that are exposed through their silver shorts. And, people like Chris Duane and you have said for years that silver is the Achilles heel for these banks. But when people are already hurting, and you know it to be true, Bix. You probably know. I mean, I have to help out a lot of my family members monthly because people can't make ends meet. People are already hurting. Young people, I mean, the job market's not great. People get laid off. Say you're 50 years old, head of the household, you're the breadwinner for your family. You just lost your Target headquarters job. You just lost your Verizon job. You just lost your job at, fill in the blank. All of these big companies laying off thousands and thousands and thousands of people. It's getting tough out there, and most people don't own a single ounce of physical silver. So how does this great reset ultimately help the plebs? I don't think there's ever been a reset that's helped the plebs. Usually people wake up the next day and their currency is just, worthless. Here's the new currency, start over.
Oh, this is a gigantic help for the plebs because their debt will be gone. And that, I mean, the largest problem in humanity right now is massive amounts of debt, unlimited amounts of debt out there. It's everywhere, the debt. And that debt just happens to be the power behind the evil cabal that's controlling our lives. So, yes, not only will it get rid of your debt, but it will put us on a more sound basis moving forward so we don't have debt as money. And each country is going to have to figure out, how they want to do that. The United States has been planning on this for over 100 years. We have plenty of gold and silver ready to go. And people have talked to me, well, there's not enough gold and there's not enough silver. Of course there is. There's massive amounts of gold in the United States. And I don't know how much silver they have, but ultimately I think the gold silver ratio will get flipped on its head. I think it'll be at least 1 to 1 when the true fair market value is told to humanity because we have been consuming silver uh, by probably double of what we take out of the ground every year, which is 820 to 850 million ounces. I believe the industrial side has been consuming double, and we've been lied to by the Silver Institute. So we're at a point where the U.S. has been planning for over 100 years to go back to a gold and silver standard. And I've proven this many ways. And the Road to Ruta documents actually say exactly that. Shows a little girl walking into a bank, cashing in 19 gold coins at a bank for some fiat money. And we don't know if she's turning in the gold or pulling out the gold. There's so much gold. And that will help the United States a lot as we transition out of this old system, the fiat debt money system, to something new. So most people have debt and most people will be much better off.
I want to share a story regarding inflation and hyperinflation of the dollar when priced in metals, not just silver, but copper and nickel. Guys, as I've been saying, if you go to coinflation.com right now, you will see that one 1982 or earlier than that penny made of copper, the way they used to do it, is worth 4 cents in melt value. A box of nickels that you can still procure from your bank, if you ask them to order you a box of nickels or 10 boxes, I think they will still do it. That box of nickels is worth about 144 bucks in melt value. The face value, $100. So I guess I've been sort of encouraging people who are completely unprepared to take a look at some of those other avenues of trying to secure some measure of wealth, because at $100 an ounce of silver, Bix, it gets really hard for people on minimum wage to even buy one single ounce. So, what do you make of what I just said? Our dollar is hyperinflating away right now, certainly when priced in silver, but also a little bit when priced in even copper and nickel.
Yeah, I mean, you don't have to buy a full ounce of silver even. You can go buy a mercury dime. And it's the old pre-1965 dimes. The reality of where we are and how many people have any gold and silver to this day Very, very, very few people, even the people I know who I've been screaming about gold and silver, mainly silver too, for what, 25 years, have very little. I mean, I would say out of the 100 people in my family circle, maybe five have ever bought silver, and none of them any kind of quantity. And I walk around town where I live, and it's like nobody. Some people know about silver through an ETF, and then I explain to them why an ETF is the worst thing you can buy in silver. It hurts the silver market by giving the bankers your silver. But nobody has any physical silver. Some have gold because the gold has gone up so much, and people tend to buy what goes up. So as the price of silver goes past 100 and 200 and 300 and 400 and $500, more and more people will start obtaining physical silver in their own possession, just like they did with gold. But it wasn't many. Not many people invest in gold. So we still don't see many silver news pieces on CNBC or the financial media. I mean, it's the best performing asset in the past. Yeah, it's blown away Bitcoin, for Christ's sake, and yet they don't talk about it anywhere still. So yeah, we're at that point. At some point, probably before the 4th of July, we will see the collapse of the global monetary system and the reintroduction of gold and silver as money in the United States. I don't know what other countries are going to do. Some countries have prepared. China has prepared for this. Russia has prepared for this. India has prepared for this. But a lot of other countries who are just kind of clueless, especially in Europe, I don't know. I don't get it. So yeah, now is the time.
Now is the time. I thank you for posting our latest interview, the one we did, just a couple of weeks ago. You can't build the future with paper silver, posted right at the top of roadtoruta.com, Bix's site. Let me ask you about that because it's never been more true. You literally can't build an Optimus robot, a Tesla car battery, or probably a Tesla at all. You can't build solar panels. You can't build AI data farms. God, I don't want those to exist in the first place, so that's probably a good thing. But you can't even build a Bitcoin mining center without physical silver. So where is the silver going to come from, and how does the future play out given what we're now up against with China locking down their silver? And by the way, I think China has something like 17, 18 smelting plants to process this stuff. I think there's only 2 in the entirety of the West, which is why the Trump administration just announced an investment in a new smelting plant. Initial investment, $2 billion, total investment, $7 billion. The Pentagon, of course, the Pentagon will own 40% of that smelting plant so that the weapons of war can continue to be manufactured. Where does this head? It feels like we're headed to sort of a Game of Thrones future. You recall, Bix, I know you're a fan of that show. I was too. In the Game of Thrones, they had the Iron Bank, which sits atop all of the kingdoms, and everybody, including the kings, the power brokers in that show, transacts in either gold or silver coin. It kind of feels like we're heading back to that. And for those of us that have any physical silver, well, like I said, we're lucky enough to hold a king's ransom, and we ought not be that lucky. We should have never been able to buy it so cheaply. But anyway, how does the future play out given what we're up against, Bix?
I think we go back to our Constitution. I think they offer free coinage for people. Everybody has silver. If you have a cell phone, you have silver. If you have a flat screen TV, you have silver. The question is, what form is it in, and what kind of value would it take to get it into a form where you can bring it into, let's say, a U.S. Mint operation, say, hey, I want to make a U.S. coin out of the silver that I have. And that's what the United States used to be before, was it 1873, the crime of 1873, where they stopped free coinage of silver. I think we're going back to that. If you have gold, if you have silver, it'll be much more honest, much more your government working for you, which will be amazing. And there's a lot of people that need to go to jail in our government. Probably more than half of Congress will be taken out. So it's hard to see how the United States will remain in its same kind of having Congress and the Senate and the House and all that, and a president. It's hard to see how that could survive the revelation that these people haven't been working for us for a very long time. And I think that's fine, because we won't have we won't have to pay taxes, which will be great, at least in the beginning, right? Our taxes go to pay for the deep state, and that's all they go for. You don't get anything from it. So yeah, everything is changing, and when it does change, ultimately it will be better, but it will be chaotic. And as Cliff High says, you're gonna see $600 silver, but you don't want to live in a $600 silver world.
Yeah, that's kind of my point, right? I wonder how that's going to play out. And I hope you're right about arrests, because the only way to restore confidence in this government or any future government coming out of Washington, D.C., is to arrest the most corrupt folks in Washington, D.C., the people that have openly committed crimes, taken the bribes, enriched themselves at the expense of the people. That must be fixed. And if there's justice, then there can be a restoration of confidence in government. If there are no arrests, people are now openly talking about a tax revolt come April 15th. And I fully support it, by the way. Why let them take more of your hard-earned money only to give it to their thieving bastard friends? And I'm sorry, but that is just the way it is right now. People have no more faith in government, Bix. And a government that loses the faith of the people, well, that's not a government at all, right? Didn't Thomas Jefferson say a little something about a government that no longer represents us must be thrown off and a new government? And
Yeah,
then,
that's out of our Declaration of Independence.
you
And
know,
as a matter of fact, the new $100 bill that's filled with gold has that written just above the hundred, written in gold, that the people have the power and the duty to overthrow a bad government. And it's right there on the $100 bill. This is all happening. Um, it's happening faster and faster. As far as the tax revolt, I don't think the bankers will be you'll have any money to pay taxes at that point in time. When the banks go down, all it takes is one, JP Morgan, for example, a too big to fail bank, and they all go down. And you won't have any money to pay taxes, so you won't have to worry about it, most likely.
that's hilarious. Well, that's sad. You won't have any money to pay your taxes, so don't worry about it. All right. Well, I think Julie Donuts might be on the same page with you. I wonder where she gets her information. Could be Road to Ruta. She says 1776 is being restored. Silver and gold backed money we create. This ends the Federal Reserve and IRS. Guys, it is happening. The slavery installed evil central bankers are dead. Hold on, fire. No state shall enter into a treaty, alliance, or confederation, grant letters of marque or reprisal, coin money, emit bills of credit, make anything but gold and silver coin a tender in payment of debts, pass any bill of attainder, ex post facto law or law impairing the obligation of contracts, or grant any title of nobility. Let me tell you guys, we don't speak like that. We don't write like that anymore, because they've dumbed us down to the point where they've demonetized precious metals. And now we're all going broke because they print the damn stuff out of thin air, and then they enslave the people, which is exactly what the founders predicted would happen if we ever let the banks control the issuance of credit. And that's exactly what we did. 1913, the rope-a-dope, Christmas. Most people weren't even in Washington, D.C. A handful of traders passed that Federal Reserve Act, and then we got the IRS, and the rest is history, Bix. They've destroyed our purchasing power by some 99% now.
Yep. And we're at the end game. So let's cross our fingers and keep our heads up and look for the ways that we can help humanity move into this crazy new future where we don't have a nanny, but we don't have evil people that were our nanny, it'll be really exciting and really terrifying.
Yeah. All right. Well, I appreciate you, man. We're going to call this one, probably we'll call it unobtainium. We could call it silver fireworks. Either way, we want people to just be aware that their purchasing power is at enormous risk. I guess my last question for you would be, did you ever think this would happen so quickly? I mean, from 2025, the early stages of 2025, I think you could still get silver all day long for around what, $26 an ounce? Where did it start in 2025? Do you remember?
Sean, I think it's funny because we've been bitching and moaning for the 15 years I've known you
Yeah,
that it's taking so long.
I know. I know, but I'm shocked at how quickly this thing is unraveled. Aren't you? Aren't you a little bit shocked?
No, no, not at all. And I was saying it all last year that Trump wants to end this mess by the July 4th of 2026. So that means he's got to do something by the end of the year or the beginning of the next year. Silver should have done this in well, hell, you can go back 180 years. Silver should have been properly valued. We wouldn't have all the industrial stuff that we have today, but we would have figured out new ways to make electric cars. And price has always been a problem when it comes to the amount of silver used in the industrial side. And at $5,000 silver, they'll use less silver. And that's kind of where we're getting to. We got to allow silver to be freely traded to have a free country.
Okay, and for anybody who's new to this game and starts acquiring physical silver at these prices, if there's some hoodwink that is able to be pulled off, I really don't see it. I don't see it going back down to 50 or below ever again. But for those who are new to the space, if there's more watershed events, and there will be, like we saw last night, they dropped at $10 in this overnight trading. Say they drop at $20, $30, it feels like the floor falls out. What does Bix Weir do at that point? And what would you advise your audience, anybody following you, to do at that point? Because a lot of people would panic.
It's the same thing. They set the price of oil to minus $40 for a brief moment on the COMEX. They could do that with silver. It's all futures and options, derivatives, unlimited amount they can throw at it. What do? The same thing I've been advising to do for the last 25 years. Get your physical silver, get it in your own possession, get yourself a lawn chair and watch the game. Because if they can't get your physical silver, you win. Because they're going to do anything and everything they can. They're going to make it illegal probably on the COMEX like they did in 1980 with the Hunt brothers. Illegal to buy any silver, only sell contracts will be honored. They're going to do that, but it's not going to matter if you have physical silver in your own possession.
That's the way I look at it. And the last thing I would say, guys, amidst this monetary warfare where the silver in physical form is going east, I want to remind you guys that the backstop for the paper price, the backstop is that physical silver is required in just about everything valuable that we use today. And some of the biggest companies in the world, okay, they cannot do business and sell their products without physical silver. I'm talking about Tesla, NVIDIA, Apple, and all of the military industrial complex companies, none of which I will ever invest in because I don't believe in investing in weapons that murder people in Gaza. But honestly, the backstop for this thing is the future, and you can't build the future with paper silver. Bix, tell people about Road to Ruta, will you?
Yeah, the stuff you heard today, I've been talking about for 25 years. Road to Ruta is the website we have. There's tons of articles. Use the search function. And also go to the Road to Ruta YouTube channel where I post I don't need to post as much because of the Asian guy is putting up some great information. Not all of it's right, but a lot of great information. So check out roadtoruta.com. It's a free subscription there on the left side. If you scroll up a little bit.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, you put your name and email in. It's free to get the emails, and then there's a private road where I go much deeper into stuff and post 1 or 2 times a week on that.
Yeah, private road, that is exclusive to members. Sign up, support Bix at roadtoruta.com. Always enjoy talking to Bix, one of my best buddies in the space, certainly as it pertains to this subject, precious metals. But what I like about you, Bix, is you can talk about all of it. I brought up the Israeli thing and the influence in the White House. You roll with it. I love that. Sometimes some of these topics are off limits. There's some guests that just don't want to go there on some of these topics. You're always willing to go there. I appreciate that about you.
Hey, thank you, Sean.
All right. Appreciate you. All right, guys, the link is below, roadtoruta.com. Our guest has been Bix Weir. Friends, I'll remind you every single day for free, check us out to get the real news. We do the best we can for free to give you just that at sgtreport.com. And until next time, may God the Creator continue to bless you and yours. Bye-bye.
359.8 paper contracts for every 1 ounce of physical silver. So it's like, man, what about when these people start to want physical delivery? What about when they need to unwind their short positions and London doesn't actually have it?